Disclaimer: this biography is based on accurate research. Some images are illustrative due to copyright limits. Listen up. One man, a simple idea, a passion for real food. That's how revolutions start. Not with a bang, but with the sizzle of steak on a grill. Steve Ells wasn't trying to build a global empire from day one. He just wanted to open a fine dining restaurant and needed a way to fund it. He thought a small, efficient burrito shop could be his cash cow. What he built instead was a behemoth. It completely steamrolled the fast food industry, forcing everyone to wake up and look at the slop they were serving. It's a story of focused quality and what happens when you let standards slip. So, pay attention. This isn't some fairy tale. This is a lesson in business grit, the relentless pursuit of excellence. Ells saw a gap in the market the size of the Grand Canyon. Greasy, frozen, microwaved rubbish being passed off as food. Expensive sit-down restaurants that took all night. He decided to plant his flag right in the middle. He would serve food with integrity, made from fresh ingredients, but serve it fast. It sounds bloody obvious now, doesn't it? But back then, it was a radical concept. He proved you don't need 100 items on your menu. You need a few, and you need to execute them perfectly. Every single time. The core of his vision was stunningly simple. Food with integrity. Food with integrity. 3 little words that became a war cry for a new generation of diners. People were tired of mystery meat and fluorescent cheese. They wanted to know where their food came from. Ells understood this before anyone else in the fast food game. He sourced his ingredients with the care of a Michelin-starred chef, not a corporate suit counting pennies. Responsibly raised, meat fresh, vibrant produce. This commitment to quality wasn't just a marketing gimmick, it was the entire foundation of the business. It was his promise to the customer, and for a long time, he delivered on it flawlessly. This journey from a single shop in Denver to a multi-billion-dollar corporation is a masterclass. It shows that a powerful, clear idea, executed with discipline and passion, can change the world. But it also serves as a stark warning. The higher you climb, the harder you fall. The moment you take your eye off the ball, the moment you compromise on the very principles that made you great, disaster is waiting right around the corner. Steve Ells learned this lesson the hard way. His story is one of brilliant success and painful failure, a reminder that in the food business, you are only as good as your last meal. Before the burritos, before the billions, there was just a young man with a passion for cooking. Steve Ells wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was born with a palate. Growing up in Boulder, Colorado, he developed a love for real food, for the craft of cooking. This wasn't some passing hobby. It was a calling. So he did what any aspiring chef with serious ambition does. He went to the best. He enrolled at the Culinary Institute of America, the Harvard of the culinary world. This wasn't a place for shortcuts or messing around. It was a crucible where talent was forged into skill through discipline, heat, and relentless repetition. At the CIA, you learn the fundamentals. You learn respect for the ingredients. You learn the French techniques that are the bedrock of all Western cuisine. Ells absorbed it all. He wasn't just there to get a piece of paper. He was there to master his craft. After graduating in 1990, he didn't go open a burger joint. He went to work for the legendary Jeremiah Tower at Stars in San Francisco. This was the big leagues. Stars was one of the most important restaurants in America at the time. It was here that the Chipotle philosophy began to take shape. Working in a high-pressure, fine dining kitchen teaches you things you can't learn from a textbook. It teaches you about mise en place, having everything in its place. It teaches you about efficiency, about speed, and about unwavering consistency under fire. Ells watched how a kitchen could serve hundreds of people a night, with every plate meeting an impeccable standard. He also noticed the economics of it. He saw the high costs, the complex operations, and the thin profit margins. He loved the quality of the food, but he started thinking about the business model. How could you deliver that level of quality without the stuffy tablecloths and the 3-hour dining experience? The answer came to him from an unexpected place. the humble taquerias in San Francisco's Mission District. He was fascinated by them. He saw how they used a simple assembly line to build delicious, customized burritos with incredible speed. A light bulb went off in his head. What if he took the techniques and ingredient sourcing philosophy from a fine dining restaurant like Star's and applied it to the efficient, focused model of a taqueria? He could use classic cooking methods for the meats, make salsas from scratch with fresh produce, and serve it all in a simple, fast format. This was the genesis of the Chipotle idea, marrying culinary integrity with operational genius. With his big idea crystallized, Steve Ells returned to his home state of Colorado. In 1993, he secured an $85,000 loan from his father and found a small, former ice cream shop near the University of Denver. This was it, the first Chipotle Mexican Grill. The name itself, a nod to a smoked, dried jalapeno pepper, signaled a focus on authentic, deep flavors. The concept was raw, unproven, and built on a shoestring budget. Ells did much of the construction himself, creating a space that was minimalist, industrial, and utterly focused on the food. There were no frills, no gimmicks, just a simple counter and an open kitchen. The menu was ridiculously simple. Burritos, tacos, and that was about it. You chose your meat, marinated in grilled chicken or steak, or slow-braised carnitas. You chose your beans and rice. Then you moved down the line, pointing at the fresh salsas, cheese, sour cream, and guacamole. The customer was in control, watching their meal being built right in front of them. This transparency was revolutionary. In an era when fast food was made behind closed doors with mysterious ingredients, Chipotle put everything on display. The sizzle of the grill, the vibrant colors of the salsas. It was dinner and a show. People loved it, instantly. In the first month, the store was selling over 1,000 burritos a day. Ells had calculated he needed to sell about 107 burritos daily just to break even. The response was overwhelming. He had tapped into a powerful, unmet demand for food that was both quick and high quality. The original business plan was to use the profits from this one burrito shop to open his real dream, a fine dining restaurant. But the success of the first Chipotle was so immediate and so profound that the plan changed. Why build one fancy restaurant when you could build an army of these brilliant, efficient, food-focused machines? The side project was clearly the main event. The early success wasn't an accident. It was a product of relentless focus. Ells was in the kitchen every day, cooking, training his small team, and ensuring every single burrito met his exacting standards. He used classic cooking methods. The carnitas were braised for hours. The steak was marinated in the Chipotle adobo. The guacamole was mashed by hand in small batches throughout the day. This was not fast food as anyone knew it. This was real cooking, served fast. The first Chipotle wasn't just a restaurant, it was a proof of concept. It proved that customers would happily pay a little more for something a lot better. With one smash hit on his hands, the temptation to expand rapidly was huge. But Ells was smart. He knew that uncontrolled growth was the fastest way to kill quality. He replicated the model with surgical precision. The second Chipotle opened in 1995, and a third followed soon after. Each new location was a carbon copy of the first in its philosophy: a simple menu, an open kitchen, an obsessive focus on fresh ingredients, proper cooking techniques. He resisted every temptation to complicate things. No new menu items, no breakfast, no desserts. The mission was to perfect the burrito, not to become a jack-of-all-trades diner. This discipline was his secret weapon. A key part of the growth strategy was creating a scalable system that didn't compromise the food. Ells knew he couldn't personally cook in every kitchen, so he developed what he called the Restaurateur program. He promoted his best and most passionate managers, empowering them to run their locations as if they were their own businesses. These weren't just managers, they were leaders trained to uphold the Chipotle culture of excellence. They were responsible for everything from hiring the right people to ensuring the cilantro was chopped correctly. This created a sense of ownership and accountability critical for maintaining standards across dozens and eventually hundreds of stores. The real game changer came in 1998. Chipotle was growing, but it needed serious capital to become a national force. In a move that surprised many, McDonald's became a major investor. The Golden Arches backing a burrito joint focused on food with integrity? It seemed like a bizarre pairing. But McDonald's saw the potential and provided the fuel Chipotle needed to explode. Over the next few years, with McDonald's money, Chipotle grew from just 16 locations to over 500. Crucially, Ells insisted on maintaining full creative and operational control. He took their money, but he refused to adopt their fast food mindset of cutting corners and using cheaper ingredients. This period of rapid expansion was a tightrope walk. How do you scale up while keeping the soul of the company intact? The answer was systems. Ells and his team built robust supply chains, finding farms that could provide responsibly raised pork and responsibly raised chicken on a massive scale. They perfected the assembly line process, timing every step to maximize speed without sacrificing quality. They kept the restaurant design simple and efficient, making it easy to clean and operate. This focus on the operational details was boring but essential. It was the scaffolding that allowed the company to grow into a giant without collapsing under its own weight. Consistency wasn't just a goal, it was the entire business model. By the mid-2000s, Chipotle was no longer a plucky underdog. It was a dominant force in the new fast casual category it had helped create. The partnership with McDonald's had been a roaring success in terms of growth, but the two companies were culturally worlds apart. Ells wanted to double down on his food with integrity mission, sourcing more organic local produce. McDonald's, built on supply chain efficiency, was getting nervous about rising costs. The relationship had served its purpose. In 2006, they parted ways. Ells took Chipotle public with a blockbuster IPO. The IPO was a watershed moment. Wall Street went absolutely mad for Chipotle. The stock price more than doubled on day one. Chipotle was now publicly traded and under immense pressure to deliver endless growth and quarterly profits. The stakes were astronomically high. With a war chest of public money, expansion went into hyperdrive. New stores opened at a breathtaking pace: US, Canada, United Kingdom. Chipotle had become a household name, a verb.
Let's go get Chipotle.
As the empire grew, so did complexity. Managing a supply chain for a few dozen restaurants is one thing. Managing it for over 1,500 locations is a logistical nightmare. Sourcing enough responsibly raised meat organic beans to feed a nation became monumental. The company built an ecosystem of farmers' suppliers to meet strict standards. Admirable, but risky. A single failure anywhere in that vast chain, farm prep kitchen, could have devastating consequences. The bigger the operation, the more points of failure. Despite public company pressures, Ells largely stuck to his guns. He pushed the food with integrity message, launched marketing that celebrated farmers and criticized industrial food production. The brand was more than burritos, a lifestyle choice. Customers felt good eating at Chipotle. They believed they supported a better food system. That identity created a legion of loyal fans and let the company command premium prices. For years, Chipotle seemed invincible, a Wall Street darling with a cult-like following that had found a magic formula for profit with a purpose. For 2 decades, Chipotle seemed untouchable. It was the golden child of the restaurant industry, a company that could do no wrong. Then, in late 2015, the empire began to crack. It started with a small E. coli outbreak in the Pacific Northwest. Then another, and another. Soon, reports of norovirus and salmonella, linked to Chipotle restaurants in Boston, California across the Midwest, were dominating the headlines. The company that had built its entire brand on the promise of fresh, clean, safe food was now the face of a terrifying national food safety crisis. The fall from grace was brutal and swift. The public reaction was visceral. Sales plummeted. The company's stock price, once a high flyer, went into a free fall, wiping out billions of dollars in value. The media, which had once celebrated Chipotle's rise, was now merciless in its criticism. The very thing that made Chipotle special, its reliance on fresh, unprocessed ingredients prepared by hand in each restaurant, was now seen as its biggest vulnerability. Unlike traditional fast food chains that used centralized, highly processed ingredients, Chipotle's decentralized model created thousands of potential points for contamination. Its greatest strength had become its Achilles heel. The company's initial response was slow and seemed inadequate to many. Ells, the visionary chef, appeared on television to apologize, but the damage was done. Trust, once lost, is incredibly difficult to regain. In a dramatic move, the company closed all of its more than 2,000 stores for a single day in February 2016 for a company-wide meeting on food safety. They hired leading experts, overhauled their food sourcing and handling procedures, and implemented new technologies like high-pressure processing to treat ingredients. They were trying to bolt a state-of-the-art safety system onto a model that was never designed for it. The crisis marked a turning point for Chipotle and for Steve Ells personally. The pressure from investors was immense. The visionary founder who had built the company from scratch was now seen by some as an obstacle to its recovery. The freewheeling, chef-driven culture had to give way to a more rigid, process-oriented corporate structure. In 2017, facing continued sluggish sales and activist investor pressure, Ells announced he would be stepping down as CEO. The following year, the company appointed Brian Niccol, a veteran of Taco Bell, as its new chief executive. But his legacy is cemented in the very fabric of the modern food industry. He didn't just build a successful burrito chain, he fundamentally changed how millions of people think about fast food. Before Chipotle, the conversation was about price speed. After Chipotle, it became about quality, transparency, ingredient sourcing. He forced the entire industry to up its game. Suddenly, giants like McDonald's, Panera Bread were talking about antibiotic-free chicken and cleaning up their ingredient lists. Ells created a new standard and everyone else was forced to follow. His story is a powerful lesson in the purity of a simple, well-executed idea. The initial concept, fine dining techniques applied to a fast food model, was brilliant. His unwavering discipline in the early years, refusing to clutter the menu or compromise on quality, is a masterclass for any entrepreneur. He proved that you could build a wildly profitable business without treating your customers like idiots or feeding them rubbish. The food with integrity mantra, while tarnished by the 2015 crisis, nonetheless planted a seed in the public consciousness that continues to grow today. People now expect and demand more from the food they buy. Of course, the story is also a cautionary tale. It shows that a powerful brand is fragile. Success breeds complexity, which in turn breeds risk. The food safety crisis was a brutal reminder that in the restaurant business, you are one mistake away from disaster. It demonstrated that a culture built by a passionate founder must be able to evolve into a system that can operate safely at a massive scale. The crisis forced Chipotle to grow up, to infuse its artisanal soul with the cold, hard discipline of a global corporation. The company that exists today is a hybrid of Ells' original vision and the corporate systems needed to protect it. Today, Chipotle is stronger than ever. Under new leadership, it has embraced technology, streamlined operations, and, most importantly, regained the trust of its customers. The lines are long again and the stock is soaring. But the core of what makes it work is still Steve Ells' original blueprint, a simple menu of delicious food made from high-quality ingredients served fast. He may not be the one running the show, but his DNA is in every single burrito bowl that comes off the line. He took on the giants of a lazy industry, and he won. He built more than a restaurant, he built a revolution. And that, you donut, is a legacy worth remembering.